Hi, so I'm El Grimshaw. This is Pilot for podcast with
William. Hello.
Hello, thank you. Right, so we were just chatting about Will Smith, and then we decided that we'd stop and start recording. So we were just saying about obviously the reaction between Chris Rock and Will Smith at the recent Oscars.
Which is brilliant. If you haven't seen it, you have to go to YouTube right now and watch it. If you haven't seen it, then you're living under a rock.
I think it's more just Chris Rock's sort of reaction of maybe he was a bit starstruck, literally starstruck.
See what you did there?
Yeah.
God.
It's being slapped by Will Smith, like in an sort of scripted event, you know. But the joke itself, we were discussing that, and it's not. I don't think it was that bad. I think it was relatively tame, especially when you've had like the likes of Ricky Gervais in previous years, absolutely roasting the crowd in sometimes fairly unpleasant ways.
Oh yeah, he goes in worse than any American does. It's a different humour set, isn't it? Unless you're Bill Burr. Or is he Canadian? Am I doing him a disservice?
Bill Bourbon?
Bill Burr?
No, Bill Burr's Boston. He's Boston.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
To be fair, Bill Burr is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him host the Oscars.
Oh yeah. Oh, they'd never do it.
No.
They haven't got the balls.
What other, any comedian, live or dead, host next year's Oscars, who would yours be?
I don't know. For some reason, Russell Brand popped into my head, but I'm not really a huge fan of Russell Brand, so I don't know why.
I think it's because especially he used to be, I don't know what his stand-up's like now, but his stand-up used to be pretty ruthless.
Yeah.
It used to be pretty, sharp, and he is very quick.
He's very quick and he's very sharp.
I'm not a huge fan of him because of his whole, messiah complex, but I do admire his sort of craft, and I do think that he is quite good when he sort of plays himself in films.
Yeah.
Get into the Greek first, especially.
That's a great film, yeah. There's an interview I've seen with him when they're asking about his films and his acting and stuff. He says, basically, I just play versions of me in a hat.
Yeah.
And that's basically how he does his roles. And you're like, okay, fair.
Yeah, you can't hold that against the dude.
But to be fair, nobody can do Russell Brand like Russell Brand.
No. It'd be interesting if they ever tried to make a biopic of his life. Like, who would you get to play him? It would have to be... It's like...
Russell Brand.
Yeah. So my answer to who I would like to see do next year's Oscars, Jimmy Carr.
Oh,
I love Jimmy Carr.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carr is brilliant.
And he's starting to break America as well.
Yeah, he's...
the past sort of couple of years.
I feel like he's a bit too ruthless sometimes because his stand-up delivery is very blank face. It's very blank face, and obviously he's been a bit of hot water recently.
Which is bullshit. I've watched his thing, his Netflix special.
I haven't yet got round to watching it.
Well, so I won't spoil any of the jokes, but before he gets, so it's his final few jokes, and he says to the crowd, he says, "Do you want to hear some career-ending
He always ends with a handful of really bad jokes, and he always warns the crowd. He always says, "Look,
well, it's that's why you go to a Jimmy Carr gig.
Yeah,
you're not there for his tame stuff.
No,
that's what Jimmy Carr's about. And the jokes he did, they're just dark jokes, but they're jokes. That's people trying to get him cancelled for.
It's there's so
jokes.
much he could have been cancelled for. There's in his one of his Netflix specials. There's the joke that I'm not gonna imitate, but he makes fun sort of homosexuals with lower intelligence.
Okay.
And he does a mime. And
another joke, yeah.
The joke isn't out of context, isn't funny. If you were to do that in the street, that would be a hate crime.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the problem here, is that when you start taking jokes out of context of the show, it's like if you heard just a 5-minute snippet of a live gig but didn't know anything else about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you didn't know who the band was. You didn't know, like...
A good comparison for that is, like, I watched Django Unchained recently, and
Good film.
the flagrant use of the N-word in...
Got Quentin Tarantino into quite a hot listed popular.
But I when I was watching it, I imagined being like Leo DiCaprio, one of the white actors that's having to use this word over and over again, and in like such a vile way. And he's a great actor, and so he does it really well. But
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing to do well.
Again, we were chatting earlier about, roles like Joffrey. The guy was hated, but kudos to the actor who actually managed to pull that off. I mentioned Orange is the New Black and the character V. Like, I hated her character.
Yeah, but that's the whole point.
But that was the whole
she's
point.
Done a job.
Yeah,
Well
she just had this menacing aura whenever she was on screen, and hats off to the actress that played it. I don't know off the top of my head who it is, unfortunately.
No,
I'm shit with actresses and actors, so it will just be me name dropping characters and being like the person that plays them.
Yeah, it's fine. Love a lot of that.
But yeah, no, I think Jimmy Carr would be a really good host for the Oscars next year, because especially and it'd be interesting to see which actors get up and give Jimmy Carr a bit of a slap, because certainly there'll be more offensive material than I think.
I think they'll up the security next year.
Yeah. You can only go on stage if you wear a bulletproof vest.
Yeah, stand behind one of those screens that the Pope has.
Right, so moving on. Next question I wanted to ask you is, I've already mentioned this to you previously when we ran out. Name one video game series that you have absolutely loved over the last 10 years, over whichever console, whichever generation, whatever you want to say. But it has to have been developed in the last 10 years. So that can include like series that have continued, that they may have began life.
As long as they've been present.
As long as they've been present in the last 10 years, you can include it. So
okay,
one series that you've absolutely loved over the last 10 years, one game series that you think kind of just needs to stay.
Needs to die.
Needs to go to Dignitas. I can think of a few.
Nah, take it round back in the sheds and shoot it.
And one that you think needs a bit more attention and possibly shows a bit more potential. And we're talking game series, just if I didn't make that clear.
Yes, okay. Well, immediately the one that sprung to mind for the series that I love was the Last of Us series.
Okay.
Like, a huge fan of Naughty Dog as a developer anyway. There's no question that in terms of sort of console wars in inverted commas, that the generation where the first Last of Us came out, obviously the PS3 was going up against the 360, which the 360 definitely won that generation.
Yeah.
But the reason I got a PS3, like, I'm always been a PS3 guy, or always been a PlayStation guy.
Yeah.
The reason I got the PS3 was because of Naughty Dog stuff coming up, like the Uncharted series as well. So I know technically going off point slightly, but if I had to choose, it would be the Last of Us series. First one was just one of the best sort of like linear, like story driven, like third person. That's my jam anyway.
Yeah.
And there's something about the, like, people sort of hate on the combat, saying like, oh, it's like very simple and what have you. But I love the sort of brutality that it has to it.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Last of Us 1. Really, really, really enjoyed Last of Us 1. Okay. Last of Us 2, whilst I enjoyed it, I didn't enjoy it. That was the problem. I respected the story. I really enjoyed the story.
Yeah.
But I didn't enjoy playing through it. It just got a bit too much of the same sort of areas of like, oh, I've got to be sneaky and I'm not very good at sneaky.
See, I'm not the best at sneaky, but I tend to use my sneaky to set up.
You use your sneaky.
I use my sneaky to set up.
What
like,
sneaky level are we talking here? Are we talking sneaky level?
I'd be like a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So my sneaky level's probably about 5 out of 10.
Yeah. So that's it. So I'll probably get 1 or 2 down, and then I'll just use the stealth. And I do love in the new one how you can go prone and crawl through grass.
I did really enjoy
like
that. Sorry, just to sort of clarify, like Last of Us 2, I did really like what they were doing with it, but I think the story at some times was just too dark.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. Yeah,
it became, and like the gameplay, whilst puzzles are fun and some of the I preferred the interactions with the clickers.
Yeah.
Than the interactions with the humans.
Yeah.
And to me, this one was more human
focused.
It was,
yeah.
Which I think that's what put me off in it, because in the first one it was more just focused on clicker activity from town to town.
More horror based.
Yeah, it was more horror based. It definitely had them vibes that go back to sort of Resident Evil. So that's Last of Us. That's your.
That's if I had to choose one, that's a series. Then I'd go for that.
I'm gonna go for the Spider-Man, but I'm gonna expand it a little bit more. So Insomniac Spider-Man.
Okay, the PS4, 2018, 2017 maybe.
2018, I think it was. I think it was 2018. We'll have to double check. But it's Insomniac Spider-Man. They've obviously revealed the. They've released the Miles Morales version, which I'm yet to play. I'm just waiting for it to come down in price, and then I can maybe look at getting it.
Yeah.
Because it's still £50-odd, and it's been out for ages. And it's, let's be honest, it's basically DLC.
It's yes and no. I've played it. It's one of those sort of in between DLC and a sequel in a way. It's not
quite a full game.
It's not quite a full game, but it's more than DLC. I think it's doing it a disservice calling it DLC. It's not. I don't think it's worth the £50 price point.
No.
If it is that still, that's insane. I didn't know it was still that. I'm lucky. My brother's got a PS5, and he went on holiday, so I had his PS5 for a week, and he has it
house sitting for the PS5.
Yeah, basically.
Just making sure that it gets switched on
of course.
occasionally.
Yeah.
Doesn't get lonely.
Yeah, and to be honest, part of the that's the only experience I've had with the PS5, and that's kind of why I don't have a PS5 already.
Yeah.
It's because I had some issues with it. It crashed a few times, and I had to do some hard restarts, and it kept turning back on and telling me that I'd unplugged it when I hadn't, and I thought I'd broken my brother's PlayStation. So I'm still sort of
traumatized.
Yeah, a little bit, and also as well, I think with the sort of exclusive lineup, there's only sort of a handful of games that are interesting me.
Yeah,
I just can't see the cost benefit, right now. I need to wait for more games to come out.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to say I want to make a bit of a sort of thing. So, best game series for me of the last 10 years, because I'm looking forward to Wolverine, which is meant to be coming out, which they have said, tying it to your answer, is going to be very Last of Us sort of inspired.
Yes. Yeah.
So we'll see how that turns out, because I think that could be really cool. And I do remember some of the old Wolverine games being quite fun. I remember I had one for PS2, or it might have been GameCube, back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And it was you play as a really cubey version of Wolverine. Was it Wolverine 2 Survival Instinct? Or
something like that. And
it was something really dumb.
You could use his senses, you press a button and you can see.
You could follow smells. It was very Arkham Asylum like.
Yeah, it was cool. I remember
actually
that.
because you had this leap mechanic.
Yeah.
Where you could, if there was say an enemy at the end of a corridor, you could leap on them and quickly take them out. Yeah. So it was very Arkham based in
There
sort
were-
of early.
There were a couple of good Wolverine games. I think there was a Wolverine Origins game, like sort of linked to the film, but like expanded on what the film did. And
Yeah, it was like a movie game tie-in. So it had that very like structured, like almost arcadey feel
and
to it.
It wasn't a great game. It was like a slasher, almost like a God of War style sort of slasher game.
But I remember it did, because I played it a little bit. I remember I played the shit out of the demo when that came out, because I was like, oh my god, this is kind of amazing. Because every time you take damage, like, you'd have like chunks flying off you.
And then when you can just stand there afterwards and watch it all heal up. It heals up slowly.
Yeah, and like you got your health back, and it was really gory as well.
Yeah, really gory.
Which was quite unusual because the film was very PG.
Oh yeah, well, it'd been a 12A probably at the time.
Yeah, it was. I think
one of those.
With the film, there was always some plan to try and make a more R-rated Wolverine film,
which they did.
Which they eventually did, because if you remember in X-Men 2, there's the bit that is quite graphic, where he like comes out that bath.
Yeah.
And his claws are extended, and there's like blood pouring down his knuckles and everything like that. So I think there was always the intention to, at some point, maybe look at a darker.
Yeah. I think they had to, because I actually watched the last one in the Wolverine trilogy recently. Logan, yeah,
amazing film.
It's such a good film, and of course that is R-rated. They're like, yeah, well, he's going to be getting stabbed and stabbing people, and we're going to do it properly, and really enjoyed it.
Do you want to know a little fun story about the Wolverine, the Logan film?
Go on.
During the preview of all the cast members, Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman sat side by side in the cinema, and there's the scene where, spoiler alert, one of the characters dies, because there's a lot of death in this one.
Yeah.
Sorry if you've not seen it. But yeah, one of the characters dies, and Hugh Jackman gets a bit tearful, and Patrick Stewart holds his hand, and he's like, "It's okay, it's okay," and it's just these two characters that are emotionally weeping, and that's a lovely relationship.
Yeah, and I think part of that is probably because I think for both of them they thought it'd be the last sort of outings that they have as those characters.
Well, for the most part, I think it is, isn't it?
Well, there's hints that Patrick Stewart will be reprising his role in the new Doctor Strange film. In the latest trailer, which came out a few weeks ago now, his voice. He says, "I think we should tell him the truth," and it looks like he's part of some court. So.
Oh, like the Court of Watchers in Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
I wasn't a big fan of the Doctor Strange film, but we're getting really off topic.
We are slightly, yeah.
Slightly off topic. So, next question was one game series that done with.
Oh.
They've extended it as far as you can. It's shit. We're just over it.
So we both sort of, when we were having a discussion off air, we sort of both had the same one, but I've thought of another one.
I've got one in mind.
And for me, it's Assassin's Creed.
Really?
Yeah, and
okay.
Reason being is I used to love the older ones. I know I was younger and probably had like less expectations from games, but in particular, Assassin's Creed 2 was incredible. And just the way that they expanded on the first one.
It was incredible.
The story, and they added like different weapons and just all sorts. But then like that formula kind of got stale, and rather than sort of revamping the whole thing with Origins, they just sort of revamped like the combat and sort of added some, just like bolted some RPG elements onto the thing. And I thought, for me, what I really wanted was for them to do a modern day, like open world Assassin's Creed, like get out of the Animus, fuck the past off, have a look at the modern day, and set it in somewhere like, I don't know, like Tokyo or something.
Yeah, I could see that working. See, I'm complete opposite of you. Now, if you'd have asked me this question couple of years ago, I probably would have said the same answer, but not for the same reason.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I love the Assassin's Creed series, but it's a love-hate relationship. Because I hate most of the games. The games are shit. Apart from Assassin's Creed 2. Assassin's Creed 2 is amazing.
I love it. And to be fair, Black Flag needs a little mention.
Didn't like it.
I love Black Flag.
But my other half, Jay, keeps recommending it, so I am going to
at the time,
I am going to commit to it at some point.
To be honest, I played it recently. I had it. I've got it, the sort of remaster on Switch. It looks better and plays better than it did when it first came out, but it's not really aged that well. But for the time, that was the sort of like pirate simulator.
Yeah,
there was nothing else.
Which
pirate
I do
really
love pirates.
Yeah,
I just my dislike of the Assassin's Creed games is the animus and that whole got combining old timey stabby simulators with future events, and it's like, no, I just want to be in old timey world stabbing people. That's all I want.
None of the future bullshit.
None of the future bullshit. I don't care what's happening in the future because I'm in the know.
In the I think it was the second one, I enjoyed the sort of relationship between what was going on in the Animus and then
bullshit.
When you come out of the Animus, for me, I quite liked that.
I was just Ezio. I just wanted revenge.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go around stabbing popes. Like, yeah, fuck you. Right? So, no, I disagree with you on that, Liam.
It's a shame. But yeah.
But I actually like what they're doing now, although there's still a little bit of Assassin's Creed.
See, I should like
ingrained in there. Like, me and Jay recently played Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I just told you about this, and we both got completely different storylines, which was a really cool experiment.
Yeah.
So she got the everybody's happy, everybody's alive.
Yeah.
You're like, yay! I got the darkest timeline, where the main character basically is now just wandering a wasteland that was Greece.
Lovely.
Everybody's dead.
Cool.
Everybody's everything's fucked. So it was a cool experiment, and we're trying to do the same in Valhalla.
Yeah.
And I don't play with that style in mind. And I really like the settings at the moment. I like what they're doing with the more recent games. Still think they need to get rid of the sort of future events.
Yeah.
But I do like how they're doing almost like a God of War thing with the the different gods and stuff.
Yeah, so this is another thing that puts me off. It's supposed to be a set in history. You know, if they're doing the whole Animus thing, it's supposed to be sort of like they lost a real it was never sort of realistic, but it was sort of based in reality in the early ones. Like in the first one in particular, the only bit that's sort of supernatural or whatever, or you know, it's like futuristic technology into the pieces of Eden that they have.
Yeah.
In fact, the final boss in the first one uses the Apple of Eden, whatever it's called, and that's the only sort of like supernatural bit in the whole game. Like the rest of it's sort of not grounded because you're jumping off towers into tiny hay bales.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, like, and then as they've sort of got further on, especially with the reboot from Origins, they've like leaned heavily into that sort of mystical side of stuff, and that's just sort of put me off like a lot. Like walking around with a flaming sword, it's like this is supposed to be reality.
I do see where you're coming from. Especially from like previous games.
Yeah.
They were very realistic.
Yeah, they tried to and I think they achieved in like their world building is always really good.
Yeah, like, Ubisoft, you've got to give them credit.
Yeah,
Far Cry games, their world building has always been pretty amazing.
Pretty good, yeah. And the Assassin's Creed ones, especially like the early ones where they had like different cities that you could go to.
Yeah, where it was less open world, but it was like open.
Yeah, like areas,
sections.
But they were huge sections.
Yeah, they were
entire cities, and they all had like their own aesthetic and their own little feel, and that was cool. I think another thing that puts me off with the latest ones is how big they are. It's like it overfaces me as you as you get older, you know, you have other priorities, and
Yeah.
your gaming time, or mine anyway, is sort of at a premium, or you know, I try and make good use of that time.
Yeah.
And sometimes with these new open world games, they're just so big that it kind of puts me off.
I do agree with you on that. Like, there's a lot of games that are sort of too big, and they just like I didn't. Jay absolutely loves Horizon Zero Dawn. I wanted to love it because it was like giant transformer dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And it sounded and it looked so amazing. But I just couldn't get into it because there was just too much shit that I had to go through.
Yeah.
And Witcher was another one that first few times that I played it, I hated it.
Yeah.
I absolutely hated it. But it was one that I had on my PlayStation because I downloaded it.
Yeah.
So it was always at the back of my head, like, I am going to commit to it.
Yeah,
and
people are always saying how good it is, and that's sort of why I played it.
Yeah.
I'd put it off for ages.
Well, I started it a few times. I'd played it, like, got so far, and then I'd be, like, get a bit bored of it, because it was like, meh. And then it was lockdown, the very first lockdown. And I was sort of... I was in isolation, and I thought, you know what, I'll download Witcher and give it another go. Started a completely new game, and I thought, I'm going to actually invest.
Yeah, I think that's what you need
to
do.
Get into it and stuff.
Think of it as like a novel.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, and I'll go as far as to say, I even put it on like the easiest setting.
Yeah, why not?
Because I was like, I just want
Nothing
to appreciate the story.
Yeah.
I just want to experience the game.
Yeah, and the combat can be a little bit janky.
Yeah, especially because like with Witcher, there is a lot of like different mechanics in play.
Yeah.
You know, like you've got your different oils, which first few playthroughs I had no idea what I was doing because any time something came up, it was just skip, because I just wanted to play it.
Yeah.
Somebody had told me how great it was, and they were like, "Oh, it's like Skyrim," and my little ADHD brain's going, right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna play that game. I'm not going to play the tutorial. Fuck the tutorial. I'm going to learn how to play this game. I'm going to make this game my bitch. Like, that's what you're trying to go for. But no. It's like Dark Souls in reverse.
Yeah. And it kind of makes sense because, you know, the Witchers, they learn a lot and you sort of need to learn how to utilise what they're good at, which is a lot of shit. And
exactly.
I love just sort of building out, like, people will have particular builds, like, oh, I want to be, excuse me, they want to have, like, better speed or better strength or more magic or whatever. Whereas I just want to do them all, like, so no matter what I come up against, so I've got the perfect thing. Like, I've always got excessive oils and, you know, potions. And there is a bomb in it that I absolutely love, that when you throw it, it, like, sets out like a cloud of flammable gas.
Yeah, it's like
makes it
Dragon's Dream or something like that.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah.
They all had really cool names as well, and you know, like,
really good.
I even got into it. Like, I'm one of these when I'm playing that I sometimes get a bit too immersed. So like in the Witcher series especially, there's Skellige, the sort of like Skellige, sorry. Which are like the very like winter things, and I had all the different armor sets for the for the Witchers.
There's like serpent and
the bear one. The bear one had like a fur cloak.
Yeah.
So like whenever I was in Skellige, I used to you know equip that one so I looked like I was dressed. The thingy.
Yeah.
I'd like go to a barber's, get my hair like grown out. And then go back to when I had Blood and Wine, the
expansion.
The expansion. Loose fitting clothing. I don't want Geralt to get too hot. I don't want him to get wet, like sweaty and stuffy in his armour when he's fighting monsters. You know, I want him to feel breezy. So, yeah.
Just touching still, I know we're slightly off topic, but...
Slightly off topic.
We're sort of on open world games now. So, one that surprised me in how much I enjoyed it, because it's basically an Assassin's Creed game, but like the old school Assassin's Creed. It's the Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, Oh,
Like, I love that game.
Oh, that
I
game.
had no idea how good, how much I was going to enjoy it, even though it's just...
to be fair,
It's very basic, really, when you sort of break it down to its mechanics. Like, there's nothing... It doesn't do anything new, apart from maybe the challenges when you can walk to the front. Like, challenge you! And you can take them out in one shot.
Like, and especially like there's a certain, like, we're going to talk about Ghost of Tsushima in a little bit because it may potentially be on my list.
Right.
But just want to, we'll save Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay.
So your answer, Assassin's Creed, which led on a huge tangent, so I'll keep mine brief. My game series that I'm sort of done with, and to be fair, I've never really got it. The Mortal Kombat series.
Okay.
I don't like. I like fighting games.
Yeah.
Like, I used to love the Tekken games and Soul Calibur and some of them old school games, and like some of the more like anime games like Naruto fighting games and stuff. Like, really fond memories of having
Marvel vs. Capcom.
Love it. Think it's brilliant.
Those,
I'm shit at it, but I love it.
Injustice.
I do like Injustice.
I
think Injustice is really good, and
I think they need to revisit that instead
of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, because it's the same studio, isn't it?
It is the exact same studio, and they need to focus more on that. It's a new age. It's Mortal Kombat.
I think it's because they have
die-hard fan base.
They've got quite a sizable die-hard fan base.
Yeah, I don't get it.
You'll always get like new console owners when there's a new. Or there'll be, like, say for instance now you can get the Mortal Kombat 11, I think is the most recent one.
Yeah.
You can get the XL version, which is all the DLC characters.
Which, if you look at, like, just because...
Which some of the DLC characters are brilliant.
Some of them are brilliant.
Rambo.
Some of them are shit. Like...
Rambo and RoboCop going
there's, like, the horror classics. There's, like, the Alien, Predator. There's
Jason.
Like, some of them are fucking great, and like, don't get me wrong, if you're into that sort of thing, great.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of gimmicky.
It's just, I don't get it, and I think I've tried playing a few of them, and like even the more recent ones, and I still like.
That's it. It's like, I think if they are going to sort of tail off with the Mortal Kombat stuff, which I don't see happening, I think I think it's going to be too much of a fan base there.
They'll be having real life Mortal Kombat events in the near future. Just kids lining up to be like ripped apart. Like, it'll become a way of life.
Yeah, post Brexit Britain.
Dark times are ahead.
Oh yeah.
Right, so, and then next was one that you want to see evolve a bit more.
Yeah.
And I think I'll take lead on this one first.
Go ahead. What's yours?
Mine's Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay, nice.
Ghost of Tsushima came out in 2020, I believe.
Yeah, 2020. Sounds about right.
Yeah. Maybe 2019. Absolutely amazing game. Did have some flaws.
Yeah. It wasn't perfect. No.
It had some of the gameplay was a little bit too basic.
Yeah.
It was very just kill.
That's it.
Few mini games.
Yeah.
A few little things to do that weren't killing, but
I liked the exploration. How you follow the wind.
Yeah.
Like, that was quite like a nice little touch.
But it was so fun because of the different ninja mechanics. You had like different styles, and you also had that absolutely gorgeous kill sort of mechanic where you could slice through.
Is it called the
Mongolians? I think it's Face Off.
Face Off, that's it.
And like you slice through them, and it's just so
that's
badass.
Satisfying.
And the only thing I want is I'd maybe like to see it go a bit more the RPG route.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more tailor-based gameplay where you can sort of, interact more with people, like some that era sort of boy games. Like you've got Gwent, which is brilliant in Witcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Gwent is absolutely fantastic, but the app is shit.
No, it's terrible.
It
Why
just
did they have
does,
to change it? Could they not just keep it the same as it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, somebody needs to develop the Gwent app that is just the PlayStation, Xbox version. But yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, I absolutely love it. I'd like to maybe see a bit more mythology in there. I'd like to maybe see it go a bit more. I know you're going to hate this, but the more like Assassin's Creed, but I don't want them to go into it fully. Like, they did it really cool with when they started introducing like the Legends mechanic.
So yeah, I've not played the online,
but you may have noticed its influence.
Right. Okay.
So if you're playing in New Game Plus, especially, you'll notice like it's a blind monk who's like writing on a scroll.
Right.
And there's one appeared in every town.
Yeah.
Or like just randomly on the road.
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah.
And if you go and speak to him, and then you activate the online multiplayer, which it's not great.
I've heard good things.
It's all right.
People,
it's just I'm just
more the same.
Yeah, it's just very.
Sounds kind of chaotic because it gets kind of chaotic when I'm playing single player.
Yeah, it's like they've tried to go that like sort of Left 4 Dead route of like waves of like baddies that you've got to fight through, which is great, but when you're sort of doing it, I don't know, online the combat's a little bit clunkier. And it's very structured. So like it's very easy to just like get left behind because other players have like gone to the spawning areas and completely wasted everything that's spawned in before you even got a chance. So you're just wandering around the map aimlessly. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe one better played with friends.
Yeah.
Randos.
Yeah. So maybe it's something that we could look at playing together.
Possibly. Yeah.
But yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, I think they could introduce a more supernatural element to it that could maybe expand the game series universe, maybe a spin-off series.
Possibly.
Potentially. But I'd love to see more, maybe not Assassin's Creed, but get more like Red Dead Redemption. More of a sort of grand open world.
Yeah, sort of closer to The Witcher.
Closer to Witcher, where you're just wandering this area of Japan and you're talking to the civilians, and there's like a main quest, but it's not directly, because part of the problem with Ghost of Tsushima I had was that it wanted you to do the main quest so badly that I felt like, but I want to enjoy what's going on over here. And I've since gone back and completed it multiple times. And like speedrun it at this point. And I've done all the side quests. I've platinumed the game. But like first playthrough, I felt that there was more just emphasis on the main story, and that a lot of the side quests were very samey. Just go here, kill these dudes. Like, it could have been made a bit more livable. Is my only thing. But they haven't announced a sequel, so
they have.
I'm sure they have.
They have. Oh, I didn't know they had. It wouldn't surprise me. It did pretty well.
I know they've definitely got plans to do a sequel.
Yeah,
but it'll probably be a PS5.
I was a fan of the previous work. The Infamous series.
Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant games.
A shame that that's not had more life, I think.
Yeah, well, thinking about it, that's probably going to be my choice. Give that a revamp. I liked the one that I think it was the start of the PS4. I think it might have been a launch game. Yeah, Second Son. It was okay. I liked the smoke powers that you started with more than any of the others.
See, I really like the neon powers.
Yes, it wasn't for me. In fact, my favourite one was the one you get when you finish the game.
The cement one.
Yeah, like the rocks and stuff. Like, I liked that. It's like just annoying that you didn't have that.
Yeah, I think
until literally after you finish the game. It's like, oh, great.
I think that would be a good game to like explore, definitely, because it's got such good potential of like you could expand it so far, and you could say like you
could even like introduce a co-op element.
A co-op element, massive online multiplayer like GTA Online.
Possibly, yeah.
You know, and think how chaotic that would be.
Yeah.
And to be fair, because they've got that sort of duality spectrum. So you've got your classic good, classic evil. And they could explore that with their sort of like online universe in that, you know, you could either dress as a superhero because you are effectively trying to be.
If you're trying to be good, then
you've got superpowers. Why not fucking use them as be a superhero?
Yeah.
So you could even like go explore that, or you could go the sort of fun way.
That's where I'd be. Yeah.
Yeah, robbing banks and stuff using your sort of powers.
Taking hostages.
That'd be amazing because you could even go to like the villain supermarket and be like, right, I need a player that specialises in this.
Underground clubs.
Yeah, like you could be like, right, we're gonna rob this bank in game, so we're gonna need somebody with smoke ability. We're gonna need somebody with cement ability. We're gonna need and like. You could be like, oh, well, I've got that, and I've got that, and like, you know, like it could work out really cool, and you could include all sorts of abilities.
Yeah.
You know, you could have somebody that touches cars and just grows wheels.
Yeah, like they become the ride.
Yeah, or they just turn into rubber, so they're really bouncy and they just bounce everywhere.
Take no damage.
Yeah, perfect.
You know, bounce off and like, fly around.
And like maybe like a sort of bit more of a
guy that shoots bananas from his hands. like Iron Man.
Donkey Kong. Is that not Donkey Kong?
Well, he doesn't have banana blasters.
Yet. Nintendo may be working on that.
Yeah, well, probably.
They may be working on that.
I'm going to
take a quick break.
Yeah, let's have a quick break.
And we're back. So, I'm just waiting for. And so, I don't know why I'm saying it again. We got it first time. We can edit this bit out.
Yeah, it's fine. Hello, we're back.
There we go. Right. So my next question for you is:
Hit me.
28 days later style.
Okay.
You've just woken up from the most severe food coma of your life.
Nice.
3 hours completely unconscious.
Okay.
You wake up, there's zombies all over the world. The world has gone to shit in 3 hours.
Wow.
It's 3 hours later. That's how urgent this film is.
Okay.
Right? It's.
Where have I woken up?
Good question. Where should we say?
At home.
Yeah, let's say.
Okay.
You've woken up at home, right?
Yeah.
What is your next step? Like, what do you do next? Are you fortifying? Are you going out for resources?
Check who's in the house. See if we need to do any rescue missions.
No, you're on your own.
I'm on my own, so there's nobody around. So
typical 28 days later, you're on your own.
Right, okay. So there's literally nobody except zombies.
Nobody but zombies.
Are they 28 days later style zombies? Or are we talking Walking Dead zombies?
I was going to say, because there is the Walking Dead style, I like a blend. I like a bit of a blend. I love my zombie media.
So, shall we say then that the majority would be like normal Walking Dead ones, but say if you've just turned, then you're like a rager, or whatever they call them.
Yeah, a rager.
I don't think rager's the right word, but...
it sounds a bit...
a little bit like an erection.
Yeah, a bit, yeah. Or just pissheads. Oh, he's been on a rager.
Yeah, hey, there you go.
There we go. Saving grace. So what is your plan? You're on your own.
Yeah, so I would first off I'd weapon up.
What are you grabbing?
A knife, big knife in the kitchen.
Close combat though.
Yeah, well, my stepdad does have a rifle. It's an air rifle, but it might slow someone down. Yeah. Make sure I've got some comfortable, strong shoes on that are tied up nice and tight. I aren't coming off.
Yeah.
I can run when if I need to.
Yeah.
Get a little go bag.
What are you putting in the go bag? What's crucial items? There's a lot you've got to think about here, man.
Oh yeah, some water, some food.
You need something to boost that morale though. You need like.
I've got a little backpacker's guitar. I could bring that. But
just bring your guitar.
It's not very good for
but
stealth.
then, but don't worry about stealth. Like you could, at night you could just be like, like Deliverance, a call and response.
Yeah,
like that can be your way to see if there's survivors. You can just play the Deliverance jingle and just be like, I don't know how it goes. Well, I do, but I don't. And that could be your method.
That could be, to be fair, like in saying Walking Dead, things like that, there are like archetypes of characters. There's always one with a guitar, or like a musical one, or there's
tiger.
Yeah, I think doing be a tiger because he worked in a zoo. Like, of course, he's got a tiger.
Yeah.
You got the guy with one arm.
Yeah.
It's replaced with like something monstrous.
Yeah.
A priest. There's always a priest in.
There are a lot of priests.
There's a lot of priests
in Walking Dead.
In zombie apocalypses.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? How's that happen? Where do you go though? Do you stay at home? And fortify, or do you?
I'd probably do a quick round trip because I live quite rurally. It's a village. You've seen where it is.
Yeah.
And I've got a few friends around there, so I would go to their houses, check on them. But I'm guessing they won't be there, and I'm still on my own.
You may potentially find people out in the wild.
Yeah. Okay.
But your immediate vicinity, there is nobody around you.
Yeah. Okay. So
other than dead.
Yeah, I'd go and check. I'd go check there. Like, there'd be a few houses that I would check in the village. I'd check the pub.
Winchester.
Oh yeah. Well, to be honest, that would probably be a good place to set up. It's got like double doors at the front, like big thick doors that people couldn't get through, and there's a couple of ways out the back like there's a veranda out the back, but with no way to the car park from the veranda. So if you could sort of go from there. It's got good view. It's the highest village in Lancashire, if you're wondering.
It does seem very high up.
And it's quite secluded as it is anyway, so I imagine there'd be less.
Yeah, that is something that you have to take into consideration.
Yeah.
Like I love zombie media. Anything zombie related, I'm usually a massive fan. Not a big fan of The Walking Dead though.
Yeah, I've dropped off it quite a lot.
I dropped off it after The Governor. After The Governor, I was just a bit like, yeah, this is getting lame.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the same shit, different palette.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, he's introduced some cool things. I really like the subtlety of the fact that the word zombies never actually used.
Yeah.
Little known fact.
All different groups that they bump into have different names for them.
Little known fact.
Zombies.
Robert Kirkman has said that it's because it's set in a universe where zombie fiction doesn't exist.
Oh, right.
So that's why they're all unaware of this phenomenon that is zombie media.
I suppose that sort of makes sense, because
it is a really cool
reference it.
Because there's loads of like really cool terms, and I really like that because I did my degree in linguistics as well, so I have a massive fascination with language, and like it was really cool to make it more immersive rather than it all being zombies. It's more like walkers, shufflers, whatever.
I think
Zeeks.
I think some of them refer to them as the undead. There have been some that
have
undead, but that's...
Or just the dead.
Yeah, the dead, yeah.
But yeah, that's your plan. Like, go to the pub.
Yeah, fortify there. There's
you're grabbing a knife.
There's loads of supplies there.
You're grabbing a knife. You're grabbing some supplies at home, and you're just gonna try and sort of
have a look around. If I'm on my own, I'm going to the pub. And
have a drink, you might meet some survivors out there. You might.
It's sort of the hub of the village. So if there are any survivors in hiding, they might come there.
To be fair,
safety in numbers.
That is something that I would probably do myself. I live in more of a town, so I
Yeah.
imagine that I'm probably going to have a bit more of an issue in terms of
so,
running into
so go on. Same
zombies.
question to you. You've woken up.
After
hours.
a food coma.
Yeah, food coma.
That's fucking hit me hard. I've
Yeah.
been lounged out on the sofa. My first instinct would be to obviously find Jay, but as we've established, nobody else around.
Nobody around.
So
Apart from bodies and zombies.
I have a baseball bat upstairs, so I'd be
Nice.
arming myself with that.
That's good
I
shout.
would also be arming myself with some of my kitchen knives.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, those bad boys are sharp, as I've experienced. Many cuts to my hands over the years. I'm grabbing them for short range, but you've got to be careful with short range because you don't want to get in biting distance.
Yeah.
So what I would also take with me is something that I can use as like a long range weapon. So maybe like a
Stick.
like a stick
long
or like a
stick.
long broom or something
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
just
broom
hit their
handle.
legs,
Yeah.
get them on the floor. It'll hopefully give me enough time to sort of
that's a good
maneuver
shout.
them.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab some food, I'm going to grab some drinks, going to grab some water. Also, I'm going to bring with me some coffee.
Okay.
Like liquid coffee,
Yeah.
obviously. Not going to be like trying to like fill up on the road, like going to Starbucks, being like, excuse me, service please.
I thought you meant like a bag of coffee beans.
No.
Because actually that might not be a bad shout.
Why?
In terms of, like, you know, the world's gone to shit. If you do run into...
Trade them.
Exactly, yeah. It's good trade.
Oh my god! Currency for the new world.
Yeah.
Coffee beans. Jay will love that. She will absolutely love that.
Well, it's one of them. It's like...
I've been
It's
saving
always
bottle
imported,
caps.
isn't it? So,
I've
yeah.
been saving bottle caps.
Did you hear about the guy, this is going back years, that sent Bethesda something like 25,000 bottle caps? He was like, is this enough for a copy of the new Fallout 4, I think it was? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. They sent it to him, like, apparently the office stunk of beer. He sent all these bottle caps.
If I remember rightly, they sent him like the special
Yeah, I think they sent loads
deluxe,
like
and
memorabilia
they sent
and
him
stuff
like a 4-pack of Nuka-Cola made by their like brand, which is a pretty cool touch.
Yeah, that's nice.
So my question of like what would you do in a zombie apocalypse, partially inspired by the game Death Road to Canada. Have you ever played it?
No.
It's a very,
I've heard about
very
it.
good game.
I think it might be on Game Pass.
It's a very good game. I have it installed, and it is a game that potentially we could have a look at playing in the near future.
Okay.
But moving away from games,
Okay. Oh yeah.
you have a topic.
I have a little topic, yeah, a little section.
Little topic.
So, I was thinking about this the other night, and I'll get onto why I was thinking about it, because it's my third option. So, I'll ask you the same thing. So, name two main protagonists of some sort of franchise. It doesn't necessarily have to be a film. It's just mine are films. Choose two protagonists that from franchises that you like, but you don't like that character.
Yeah.
So, for example, my first one is Frodo Baggins from The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I
love
do.
those films. Absolutely, brilliant. Like everything about them, like the music score, the settings, all the costumes.
Shorter.
Just no. I think
Shorter.
Longer, please. Like,
No.
I want extended cuts. I want more. As long as it's less Frodo.
I admire
So my
Peter
issue-
Jackson.
My
but
only issue with Frodo is he just whinges and moans for three films.
He does.
And would get nowhere without Sam. It's all about Sam Myers.
But is that not the essence of the film? This
Possibly.
companionship.
Possibly, but I don't really care because Frodo just sort of.
He is a melon.
Just grates on me, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Lord of the Rings films. I think they are brilliant because not to sound pompous or anything like that, but when I view films, watch films, it's not from a perspective of, oh, this is a film. It's, this is a film. And I'm gonna even films that I love, I am quite critical of them because I love the sort of craftsmanship that goes into it. I love films that use practical effects, and I do admire Peter Jackson for using a hell of a lot of practical effects.
Very little
and he is a
CGI.
very good director.
Yeah.
I just personally don't like the runtime, and I think that the Lord of the Rings films are a little bit dull in places, and I think it's a lot of battles. It's a lot, and I'm like, cool. I've seen like
depends what you're going into it for. I think.
Yeah, but I just think.
See, I really like the
more dragons.
The core 3 characters of like Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, and like their sort of their like camaraderie and the way that they're always like taking the care of each other. That was.
Don't get me wrong, like the
part of it.
The sort of mythology and the lore behind, and you know, the world of the Lord of the Rings is brilliant. It's one of the best fantasy worlds ever created because of how it's basically crafted so many spin-offs, so many inspirational pieces from it, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not for you.
Yeah. I was more of a Star Wars fan growing up.
Oh, yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
So, for me, one character that has grated on me a little bit, Palpatine.
Okay.
Palpatine.
Is it because of he just won't die? Or?
Yeah. I think to tie it in perfectly with a franchise that I've loved growing up is I remember watching Star Wars with my cousins, and I remember watching it around Christmas time because they would always be on around Christmas time. That and Indiana.
Yeah, of course. We'd always watch Indiana Jones at Christmas.
Indiana Jones, fucking, you know, OG, apart from the fourth.
Yeah, oh god. And they're making a fifth. Sacrilege.
Just send him off to...
Yeah, just leave it alone now.
Yeah.
Although I did like Blade Runner, was it 2049?
Again, weren't a huge fan.
I quite enjoyed that.
I prefer the original.
I still prefer the original, but I thought it was a nicer...
But yeah, Palpatine, mostly because at the end of the day, like, yeah, I get his story arc, I get he's meant to be, like, super evil, he's meant to be so badass. But especially the sort of reveal at the end of the Last Jedi, whatever the fuck it was called, the last one? Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. The way he was, like, sort of just annoyingly pushed into it.
Yeah.
And they had that that weird looking guy played by Adam
Driver.
No, not Adam Driver. Gollum.
Oh, Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis, that's it. Andy Serkis. They had the guy played by Andy Serkis in the chair, the Commander Schnook, Great Lord Schnook, Schmack.
Oh, I didn't even know that was Andy Serkis.
Yeah, it's Andy Serkis. Snork, that's it. Dumb name, but could have potentially been a really cool, like, evil baddie. I was like theorising who he could possibly be. Like, was he maybe the person that was pulling Palpatine's strings? Was he? No, he was dead in the second film, just cut in half like it was nothing.
Yeah, and then you find out that he was like
a puppet of Palpatine, or whatever bullshit it was. And I just think if you were like Darth Vader, I don't think was as good of a villain as we believe him to be.
Oh, I disagree myself.
No. I'm going to defend my point, because what I'm going to say is he was so iconic in the scenes that he was in that we have personified him as this great villain. Because if you think of his actual runtime in all three of the original films, not including what's come after, if you include his runtime in just the first three films, it's not that much, and you don't really learn a whole lot about him.
I think so. My frame of reference for that is when I first.
But he is so iconic.
Yeah, but that's it. Like I remember him being terrifying as a kid watching the Star Wars films for the first time. Yeah, the whole breathing. Like James Earl Jones's dulcet tones. And it was brilliant. But it was.
That being said, that scene in Rogue One.
I was just about to say, because I watched Rogue One the other night.
Chills.
And yeah, that ending scene is just terrifying. Shows his real, like his raw power and his rage.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think what Star Wars has done badly is they're going into characters' backgrounds and like trying to write these iconic characters. So we saw the rise of Palpatine throughout the original
The
prequel series.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace and stuff. And to be honest, his character development was the sort of one of the better parts of that prequel trilogy.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
It was much more... It was better than Anakin's. Anakin's was just a bit wank throughout. It had that, like, oh, I'm a soppy, like, I'm in love, you know, I'm going to use these magical abilities for evil because I can't be with her. And it just... Alright.
I am looking forward to the new Obi-Wan series.
Yeah, again, I just think... Oh, again, Obi-Wan's character in the trilogy, the original trilogy, was really good.
Yeah.
Portrayed brilliantly by Ewan McGregor.
Also, the prequel series. You said original again.
Sorry, I don't mean original. It's just...
Yeah, I know. Who releases films in that order?
It's shit. It
so
messes
confusing.
with the, like...
Even like 50 years later or whatever it is.
Yeah, and like, you know, like, but with Palpatine, like, they keep beating that dead horse.
Yeah.
Just let him die. Let somebody else take over.
I think the best thing about the sequel trilogy, the most recent ones, is that it's finished, and that they can't beat that horse anymore because it must be dead now. Surely. It's decayed away to nothing by now.
But you never know.
And
they'll scrape that barrel of Force Ghosts and pull Palpatine out, kicking and screaming. Come on, you can perform a few more.
There is something to be said for the Star Wars TV series at the moment.
I've only seen a little bit. I've only seen a little bit of Mandalorian, unfortunately, because of like Disney Plus being a thing. I need to. What I've seen,
Mandalorian enough.
Mandalorian is great.
Sort of. It's like
meh.
Some sort of strange, sort of plot decisions and character choices. And
yeah.
It's like he's supposed to be, you know, ruthless bounty hunter, but he's not. He barely wears the helmet. It's like, come on, the helmet's the coolest bit. Put the helmet on.
Yeah. It's a bit of a... I've heard mixed things.
Yeah.
But...
Like, there's some good set pieces and there's some cool characters and some like nods to stuff that's satisfying, but...
Yeah.
Nowhere near as good as Mandalorian.
Yeah. Fair dues. Right, so... Sorry. You had another...
Oh yeah,
character.
Yeah, another one. Again, great on me. Harry Potter.
Yeah.
From, of course, the Harry Potter series. Again, I'm a fan of the universe. I don't really go back and watch the films a great deal, but I'm looking forward to the game that's coming out.
Yep, this December supposedly.
Supposedly, yeah. If it doesn't get delayed, which
it has been a few times.
Yep.
I am conscious about the fact that it's being made by EA. So I'm gonna.
Well, they released a sort of long, sort of played
14-minute gameplay trailer. I didn't watch it all because a lot of it was very samey.
Yeah.
But I did watch quite a bit of it, and it does look really fun.
It looks interesting. Yeah, I'll definitely get on board with it when it comes out. But yeah, Harry Potter he's a bit of a melt. He's always whinging and moaning about stuff, and if it wasn't for Hermione, he'd been dead 100 times over.
He has that sort of grandiose protagonist character development where, because he's so essential to the plot of the book, he's just a bit like. He's not a great protagonist.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about this with my brother recently, and he pointed out that in the books, you get you get to read his sort of internal monologue.
Yeah,
being
Jay
sort of
said this to me and stuff, and she said that in the books he's very, very different.
Yeah, and he's a lot funnier and more likeable, basically, and they sort of lose that in the films. But you know, I'm talking about film characters, not the book character. So yeah, Harry Potter, another one on my shit list.
Another one on your shit list.
Yeah. Have you got any more spring to mind?
I'm struggling to think. You know, like I'm.
Well, I'll tell you what. While you're having a think, I'll let you know why it came in my head in the first place. So, I watched Dune recently.
Oh yes, the James Herbert novel.
Yes, yeah. Directed by Denis Villeneuve.
The guy that did Blade Runner. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like visually and everything, it's a spectacular film. It's incredible, and the sound. I think it's John Williams. No, it's not. It's Hans Zimmer, and the music score, and it's just incredible. Like there's loads of like guttural like throat singing.
Oh yeah.
It's and like bagpipes and stuff. It's insane, and like, the visuals are insane. All the performances are stellar, and I was prepared to think of John Atreides, the main character, Timothy Chalamet. I was ready to think of him in the same vein as the two I've just mentioned, but he's a badass. Like I really enjoyed.
So he's somebody that he's looking out for in movies at the moment.
Yeah, well, yeah. Like I've seen a few. Have you seen The King on Netflix?
No, it's something again that I have been looking to watch.
And that's again Timothy Chalamet plays.
He was in Don't Look Up, which we watched, which I really enjoyed him in that.
He's quite funny in Don't Look Up,
yeah. He sort of has that like trash like noughties look, which
like millennial scum.
Yeah, do you know who I think he'd play a really good role of? The Crow. You know, the Brandon Lee film.
Yeah, if they
rebooted it, which that is so. I can't think of another person that I would.
Yeah.
That really springs to mind. Jack Sparrow.
Okay.
Only because not anything to do with the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing.
Oh no.
But as a series overall, after the third one, I stopped caring.
Yeah, same.
Like the third one, whilst it was pretty cool, wasn't a great film. It was basically just blockbuster fodder. It was just there to rake in the numbers. The first two, Black Pearl and Dead Man's Chest, really, really, really good and really well-crafted stories.
Davy Jones.
The second and the third one were Davy Jones.
Yeah.
Played by Bill Nighy.
Yeah. I did like the face tentacle.
I really liked
CGI
those two. I thought they were really, really good. But then the third one was a bit shit, and it was 3 hours long. It was the first time I'd ever been in a cinema, and the film just stopped in the middle, and they were like, "Right, piss off for 15 minutes, go and buy more snacks.
Nice.
We've got another hour and a half of this shit."
Oh, great.
So that were interesting. But Jack Sparrow's character, it's just getting a bit samey, like, come on, man.
It's sort of Johnny Depp doing Johnny Depp in it.
Yeah.
Or is how it feels. I'm sure he's not like that in real life, but
no, I want to see him do more things. I want to see him do more things.
Yeah.
And then a shout out role. I recently watched Mr. Robot, which isn't necessarily a new series.
Yeah.
However, I did recently watch Mr. Robot, and
Rami Malek.
Rami Malek, that's the guy. I knew his name, but I couldn't think of it. Rami Malek, absolutely fucking insane in that series. Quality. He is so good. And then we also watched Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh yeah.
plays Freddie Mercury
Phenomenal.
incredibly, like to the point that I think if Freddie Mercury was alive today, he would probably be quite proud of that portrayal.
He'd be quite happy with that.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
I think that Rami Malek did really get it spot on, which you know, he's an American actor. It was a bit of a really you're getting an American actor to play a British icon who was a Indian guy. So
born in India. Yeah.
Does it really matter? But yeah, he was absolutely brilliant, but really disappointing in the most recent James Bond film.
Haven't seen it yet.
Shit, don't watch it.
I've I can't even remember what they're all called, the Daniel Craig ones. I know that Casino Royale,
Quantum Solace, Skyfall.
I think Skyfall was another one that was
Skyfall was amazing. Casino Royale, great.
Casino Royale, good. Quantum Solace, is that the one where they end up in the desert?
Yeah, they end up in the desert, and he's with the Russian actress whose name I can't remember.
Olga Kurilenko.
I don't know if she's Russian. She may be Ukrainian.
Oh.
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, Olga Kurilenko.
You're really good with actors.
I'm getting quite good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the third one is when they're in Scotland.
Skyfall, amazing.
Yeah, that one was really good.
Then the next one was Spectre.
Yeah, see, I have seen that, but remember thinking...
It had Christopher Waltz in. Christoph Waltz. Who's amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing, especially in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
And
so that was his first film role.
Was it?
In Inglourious Bastards, yeah.
Was it his first English speaking role? Because he is
maybe something like that, but I think he was mainly a stage actor. So it was like his first one, and now he's just in anything Tarantino. And you're like, yes, please.
Well, he wasn't in Hateful Eight.
Was he not?
No, and I don't think he's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, that's a shame. Which
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't the biggest fan, and I love Tarantino.
Yeah, see, I've watched it. I've watched it all the way through once, and there's been times when it's been on telly and I've just popped it on, and it's been like an hour in, and I've just left it on because I love the way it's just like it's all building up to that final moment. You know it's coming, and you're not quite sure how it's going to happen or what's going to go down.
You know there's going to be a bloodbath with Tarantino. Yeah. It's coming.
And
it's
I enjoyed it. Like I turned it on. It wasn't that long ago I had it on and turned it on, and it's the bit where he's like, he goes around. Brad Pitt goes around to his to Leo's house. He's like, oh, I've got a cigarette here filled with dipped in acid. I'm just gonna leave it in here. Don't smoke it by accident. He's like, if you want some, you can have some. Just leave me some.
Yeah.
I want to try it. Like, I want to do it here. I don't want to do it in my place.
Like, obviously, it is a good film. I enjoy it because it is Quentin Tarantino. He is very good at storytelling.
When he beats up Bruce Lee, love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up kind of respecting Bruce Lee films.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was kind of like, I was brought up on a diet of kung fu films and old like Western films.
Yeah.
So like,
it's a nice blend.
Yeah. So I love things like Cowboy Bebop that like combine the two. It's like amazing.
Did you like the live action series?
It's on my watch list, and I picked it up the other day, but I've yet to watch it.
Well, it's been cancelled by Netflix already. Like shortly after it aired, about a month after it first came out.
Oh, what?
They announced that they cancelled it, which really disappointed me because I watched it, and I'm a fan of the original anime, and
I love the original anime, and I love his spin-off Samurai Champloo.
Oh, I've never watched that.
It's so good.
And
similar sort of like vibe, but
it's done so well. Like the way the characters look is like pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
As well, like they've got all that down, and the way the ship looks, and there's loads of jazz. Obviously, like it's good. Yeah, and like the fight scenes are cool, and
it's the other half of Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name because shit with names.
I do know his name. Michael something.
Michael? Is it Michael? Is it?
It's probably not. No.
I don't think it's Michael. I don't know what it is. I'm thinking Jeffrey.
I'll find out. John Cho.
So not Michael.
Not Michael. No.
Or Jeffrey.
John.
Okay.
Yeah, John Cho. Yeah, and he's in like immaculate shape for it as well.
Yeah, he looks he just I've seen him in the
In his
like
suit,
the suit and
yeah,
everything, and he looks the part.
There's like even bits where he goes to his wardrobe and he's just got loads of the same suit and stuff. It's like yes.
Yeah, no, it is on my to watch list, but there's like so much shit at the moment, watching. I've been in a sort of anime binge at the moment, so I flip and flop between animes. You're not so much a fan of...
Not huge anime fan.
No, yeah.
The general Japanese weirdness puts me off. Puts me off a lot of Japanese developed video games as well.
Yeah, which I think that's a quick subject that we should maybe go into, because there's a few subjects. But on the anime front, I've been watching this one, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, recently. So it's one that I've seen recommended. It's like an anthology series, so it is very weird. And unfortunately, I'm not watching it from the very beginning, but because it's an anthology series, really surely it shouldn't really matter that much. But it's weird.
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird.
That's what puts me
off. I like anime because I did in my teen years. I did watch a lot of like Naruto and Bleach, One Piece, and things like that. I got very into that.
I like Dragon Ball.
I never got into Dragon Ball because that was always on at like Saturday morning on was it like Toon channel or something like that?
Yeah,
we didn't have Sky, we had Freeview, so I watched a lot of the BBC ones, and I got into anime through like my cousins and stuff, and like family members buying me Studio Ghibli films for like Christmas and my birthday, which like I love Spirited Away.
Yeah,
it's
of course.
a huge influence
I've seen that,
in some of my works which you've read.
Yeah.
There's my short piece Bobby, which is heavily inspired by Spirited Away. Even there's nods to sort of famous characters in the Studio Ghibli universe in there, which I'm kind of proud of. So like I really like anime, but Japanese developed games, it's one of those things you can always kind of tell when a game's developed in Japan. There's some just telltale things.
Yeah, see, one of my favourite games of all time, which we haven't mentioned at all yet, is Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda, which it's probably arguably the best open world ever for me. I
would argue that I found one of my favourite games of all time at the moment, and that being the Dark Souls games, especially Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
So again, another game developed by Japanese developers from software. Yours is Nintendo. Is it Team Zelda, or did they have like their own studio?
There's a specific team. Yeah. I think it's just Nintendo.
Like I know they have like different sub like Game Freak for Pokemon, and it gets all very complicated in there, but I like, in terms of Dark Souls, it's just the sort of raw, like, gotta keep pressing forward, gotta keep like bashing that head against the wall, trying, and recently got to the point where I'm playing it on like New Game Plus. So I'm getting to the point now where my character is kind of at a level where most enemies don't pose a problem.
Yeah.
So I can kind of like speed run through them, get to the boss, bash him around, and I'm being able to sort of explore the world a bit more freely rather than feeling like, because if you've ever played a Dark Souls game,
I'm too bad at the FromSoft games to be any
So
I always bounce off them.
like I love them because I think they play to sort of the ADHD in my brain of that sort of panic of like once you're out of like the safe zone. So there's always like little safe nooks hidden within the world, and like basically anything that you catch sight of, look at it funny one way and it's going to rip your face off. It's the gameplay equivalent of Australia. You know, that's what it's known for. The bosses are super OP. They usually can like take you out in one hit if you're on a level.
Yeah, I really liked the. It's not the latest one because that's the Elden Ring,
which I really.
It's supposed to be good. It's had rave reviews. Even people that don't like FromSoft games are saying that you should play this. But yeah, the one before was it Sekiro or Sekiro?
Yeah, Sekiro.
Yeah. I played that one probably more than any other FromSoft game.
I really struggled with that one because they just changed. Like we previously talked about, like gaming styles and how I tend to lean towards the run in, bash until everything is either dead or running away. And Dark Souls games don't tend to do that. It's either you die or they die. And Sekiro brings in this new mechanic where you've got to like record parry. You've got to like
the parry system.
Perfect timing and shit.
That blends in with me. I'm like, then it turns into more of a rhythm game, and that's where I get better at it.
I have no rhythm.
I'm fine, but
well, you're a guitarist, so maybe
true.
that's
maybe
part of it. But yeah, like. No, I couldn't get into the sort of... Because I always would panic. So, like, I'd get a perfect parry, and then I'd be like, ooh! And then there'd be, like, another one coming straight away, and I'd be like, oh, but I'm too excited. And then I'd get hit with a sword. So...
Something slightly in the vein of sort of Dark Souls. It's got sort of Dark Souls-y elements to it. Sifu. It's on PS4 at the moment, and PS5, I imagine. And PC, actually.
Just available what it's available on.
Yeah, and that's like kung fu based game.
Yeah,
where you make it like, so the first level you're in like dilapidated, abandoned like warehouse district and like factory district or what have you, and it's been taken over by like a drug dealing gang, and you're out for revenge for whatever reason.
It's very martial arts kind of style film.
It's like it's sort of
somebody's killed my dad.
Exactly.
I'm out for revenge.
It's a revenge plot. Yeah.
These are my weapons of choice, my fists.
Yeah, and so you start off as a 20-year-old.
Honourable mention that we should talk about at some point: Sleeping Dogs.
Okay.
That is a game.
I think it channels a little bit of that in some ways. Yeah.
But carry on, please.
And it's so it has this cool mechanic with death. So you start off as a 20-year-old, and then when you die, your death counter goes up by 1, and then you come back to life.
I've heard about this.
That much. So say if you die 2 times in a fight, first time you'll age 1 year, second time you'll age 2 years. So by then you'd be 23. As you get each decade, so when you turn 30, you then your maximum health goes down, but your damage output goes up, and it does that every decade.
Okay.
So and
so you're getting like smart, like more powerful, but more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it adds like a little element to it, and there's like an experience system with it as well, so you can unlock like new combos and abilities and stuff, but you have to, because it's got like slight roguelite element as well.
Yeah.
Because once you reach 70 or over, that's it. You're out of revives. Next time you die, that's it. You're done.
So then, what would happen then?
So there's 5 stages. So
5 levels to the game.
5 levels, yeah. So on say level 2, whatever the youngest age is that you've reached level 2. It's like you could start at level 2 if you wanted, but you'd be say 26 because you died that many times on the first level. But you could go back and play the first level again. Like, I've got a few more abilities now. And you'll start as a 20-year-old again. and you can try and get through with dying less.
Okay, so it's one of those games where it's just more about replay value. It's more about honing your skills and see, again, like the Dark Souls sort of franchise. A lot of their gameplay relies on the fact that the enemies are tough as fucking nails.
Yeah.
But at some point, if you persevere and practice, you will get to a point where you can effectively run through the Dark Souls universe without much issue.
Yeah. Well, I think this is slightly different in that you kind of have to get good at the basic stuff. You have to do the basic stuff well, otherwise you're going to have no chance against sort of the tougher enemies, and definitely no chance against the bosses. The bosses can be quite difficult later on.
Are they staged sort of 1-to-1 fights, or sub enemies that you've got to fight?
So there's a mix. So you can there'll be say, I think the second level is in a club. So when you walk out into the main club through some double doors, there's a good probably 8 people stood around that all come at you at once. And you've got to be clever because they'll pick up bottles and throw bottles at you.
So, Sifu.
Oh yeah,
closing
Sifu.
statement.
Yeah. So highly recommend it. I still haven't actually been able to finish it. I can't beat the final boss. I'm not good enough yet.
No.
But yeah, it's good. It's got a lot of replay value. It's only an indie title, so I think you get it on PlayStation for £35, something like that. I think it's
I've seen it. It's one that I've got on that sort of
value for money for.
And I especially like my sort of roguelikes. I really liked the Star Wars roguelike recently with Jedi Fallen Order. That were really great. And there's been quite a few. I really like the Rogue Legacy. I don't know if you've ever played that. As a very classic arcade roguelike.
Right, yeah.
Where every time you die, you're the next next generation.
Yeah.
And you pick your stats, but your stats are given to you through inherent genetic problems like dwarfism or being blind or being bold or being born gay in the game.
Oh, okay.
But it's a really fun little game. It's quite difficult. I've spent countless hours. I have got to the last boss, but I again can't quite beat him. So I am still grinding on that.
One that I put a stupid amount of time into was Enter the Gungeon.
Yeah, Enter the Gungeon's another one. I couldn't get into it the same. It was too, oh my god, visceral from the get-go.
I liked, there was a particular gun in it that I absolutely loved, where it was basically a giant bullet and it fired guns.
Yeah.
That was nice. Well played.
It was, if I remember rightly, was it not the same studio that did Hotline Miami and what they called Revolve Studio. Devolver. That's it.
Yeah. Devolver Digital. Yeah, they publish it. Yeah.
It's very on key with them. To be fair.
Yeah, it is.
But I really like the roguelike games. But we were saying about Japanese sort of games.
Yeah.
One of my heartfelt games from sort of my younger years was the Silent Hill series.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely loved them because of the sort of dark stories behind them. I've always been quite fascinated in the stories that video games have. I love BioShock for the same reason.
Yeah.
But recent change in events, Silent Hill is no longer in production, although there have been rumours circulating in the pond.
For a long time.
And a series that has overall surprised me in how it's suddenly shifted is Resident Evil.
Alright, yeah.
So I grew up very much Team Silent Hill. I didn't really like Resident Evil. Again, a bit controversial because I love zombie media, but Resident Evil
never liked Resident Evil.
just didn't do it for me.
It just gets silly.
It was too B-movie. It felt almost comical.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I wanted raw horror. I wanted horror that was going to keep me up at night. You know what I mean? You know, like, I didn't want this B-movie shit.
That explains a lot.
It does, really, doesn't it? So, I was never really a big fan of the Resident Evil games growing up. I had cousins that played it, I had friends that played it and recommended it. And I have played them over the years, and I have completed one or two. But overall, not necessarily a game series for me.
No.
They have recently been doing the remakes. I've played one or two of them.
Yeah.
They've been kind of the same old, prettier graphics, bit more user-friendly gameplay, I've noticed, compared to the original tank controls that we had back in the sort of early 90s.
Yeah,
like late 90s, should I say?
Fixed cameras and stuff, like you'd walk into a room and the camera would be up in a corner somewhere and you'd have to change.
Oh yeah, no, they were fucking nightmare.
Jesus Christ.
Like, they proper like throw your perception off. Silent Hill used them massively as well.
Yeah.
So like you'd be walking into like a room and then all of a sudden the camera would be like facing you and you'd be like, where's my character gone? And they'd be like the opposite end of the room, and all you had to do was walk towards the camera. But because of the weird control scheme, it took a while to readjust.
Yeah.
But they have more recently developed one of my favourite, and I would say up there favourite, games of the horror genre in recent years, and that is Resident Evil 7.
Okay.
I actually really, really, really enjoyed that game.
Yeah.
I thought it was well paced. I thought it was well developed. It was a really fun little game. Wasn't that scary. It was more tense than anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I judge horror based on something that makes me feel like on edge.
So is that Village then?
No, so I'm talking 7.
Right.
I have seen a lot of the gameplay footage of Resident Evil 8, but as of yet to play it.
Right.
Although it looks like it's gone more the Resident Evil 4 path of sort of storytelling and like gameplay.
So what's the main sort of enemies in Resi 7 then?
So this is where the game loses points quite drastically.
Yeah, so this is where it always loses me as well. That's what's wrong with a traditional zombie.
It's not a zombie. It's mold.
It's mould.
It's council house mold.
Nice.
From an 80s built council house.
To be fair, before I was saying how much I love Last of Us series, and that's like mushrooms.
Yeah, but these like, if you saw them in the light, like if you saw one walking down the street to you, they look kind of cute. Because they've got like, they've got like big bulbous heads, they're like slick, they're like, but because you, it's like an orca's like got anorexia and developed legs and just swam.
So nightmare fuel.
Nightmare fuel, the cutest form of nightmare fuel. But what I'm trying to say is they're not threatening.
Right. Yeah.
They're not. They look like mascots.
Yeah.
Like, they look like a mascot that's just got wet with oil, and they're just like sort of walking towards you. Like, they're cute if you give them a bit of love. And like, this sounds weird. Let's maybe move on from the mascot thing. But because you see them in the dark and they like approach you and they shuffle and they make weird noises, and like the one thing that they do really well is there's like, especially in like the sub levels of the house, there's like thick black stuff that grows on like the ceilings and walls, and you'll be walking past one and you can walk past it a few times, not an issue. The classic dogs jumping through the window scare, but this time, like, as you go past, something will just grab you or like attack you, and then you're like, ah, shit, and then you kill it. But overall, it was a really good game because it had that like unique horror factor in that it was actually quite a cool little story. I say it was a story. It was the sort of typical Resident Evil nonsense of mission, but the gameplay.
Gotta save the president's daughter.
Not quite. Your wife that's gone missing.
Oh.
But yeah, and then you happen to come across a family of cannibals, and it's a bit Deliverance, a bit, Walking Dead, a bit.
Sounds a bit Resident
Evil. A bit Bendy and the Ink Machine.
No idea.
Have you not heard of Inky and the
No.
Inky and the Bending Machine? No, Bendy and the Ink Machine. That one.
If you say so.
It's like it's weird. It's not very good game.
Right.
But it's got a massive fandom. It's like Rooster Teeth, the podcast or YouTube channel, whatever the fuck they are. I don't know. I don't keep up with current events. Fuck them. They don't keep in touch with me. I don't keep in touch with them. Basically, they developed a game. It's like some sort of weird Betty Boop style animating studio that's been corrupted. Demons have taken over. Blah, blah, blah.
Right. Okay.
Bendy and the Ink Machine, and it's got like this like cutesy sort of like mascot that's actually really sinister due to like where he's placed. The ink monsters in that game look like the ones from Resident Evil.
Right. Okay.
That's what I mean when I say cutesy. In like, if you saw them out of like the big white hands, like glove hands, those classic 1950s like we're shit at drawing hands, but look at gloves.
Kind of like Cup Man.
Yes, exactly. Which I've watched some of the the cartoon series of that.
I've seen it advertised.
It's actually pretty good. Like, I like cartoons. I like all animation stuff.
I've watched that.
Yeah, that's on my watch list. That is Yasuke.
Yasuke, yeah, for the
for those that aren't with us. But yeah, Resident Evil 7, and I'm hoping to play Resident Evil 8, maybe update us on this, and might say whether or not it was actually worth playing.
Yeah.
But Res 7 is one that I am going to put up there as a great game of the horror genre.
We should, you know what we should do? We should do a section on, it's not very original, but like a top 10 of, say, a particular era, perhaps. Like pick, say, like the PS3, Xbox 360 era, and say pick our favorite 10 games and go back and forth.
Yeah, that could be something we could do. Maybe edit that out that we're discussing it now. But definitely something we could put on. Something we could look at. What's your sort of like experience playing horror games? Are you
not
horror
a fan,
gamer?
Really, no.
What is
I'm not really a horror genre fan.
No.
Altogether, really.
No.
I think a lot of that is to do with, like, I studied film at college, so I understand the language of film, and it sounds pretty wanky, but I know when the scary bits are coming, and it doesn't scare me, and and even if it did, I don't understand why you'd want to be scared. That's not a thing that I'm into.
But it's the same reason why people go on roller coasters. It's the same reason why people go.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, it's like boost. Like, I love horror, and I'm the same thing. Like, I can see jump scares coming a mile off.
Yeah.
And I hate jump scares. They're shit. They are the fart jokes of horror.
Yeah.
They're cheap, lazy, and somewhat effective if used correctly.
Yeah.
But I love horror genre because I have got that sort of like twisted dark brain that I like the sort of like when I feel ill, I watch horror to feel better.
Yeah, nice.
Other people's suffering makes me feel better. Don't know what that says about me. But
a lot.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But yeah, no. Like, so I love horror films. I love like the old school horror films, like weirdly, even though I don't like it in Resident Evil, I like the old school B-movie style, like horrors, like American Werewolf in London. Love that. Evil Dead. Love that.
Yeah.
You know, I love horror. And yeah, I can see most of the time, especially like when it's like these like horror movies that just get released every other day, and it's like you can watch it and you're like, that's gonna move, or that's gonna be important later. Oh, that's not scary.
So, yeah, I can see what's coming here. So
yeah, like
he's gonna die any second now. There he goes.
But then occasionally comes a film that kind of pulls on that fear factor. Yeah. A film that you like, you don't want to keep watching. And the last one for me was Hereditary.
See, I've seen Hereditary, and I would recommend it to people if they want, if they...
Because it is a great horror. The ending ruins it a little bit for me.
I think the final act is where it lacks, but yeah,
it just felt a bit, whoa, like...
But yeah, there's that. Don't want to ruin it for people if we're recommending it, but there's a point in that where it's just.
That's what this film's about. That kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, I kind of saw it coming, but I thought there's no way. Like, it's
well,
obvious.
If you look at the.
When it happened, it's like, oh. Okay.
If you look at the posters and if you look at like all the theatrical release
any of that,
stuff, it's really well crafted.
Yeah.
It's so. Like, obviously, we're not going to go into spoiler territory, but for what happens in that
defining
few moments, it's like...
And it's a good, 30-40 minutes in as well.
Yeah, it the first time, it literally comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But there are, and this is what I really like about horror, is even though there are, that moment comes out of nowhere when they're... I'm doing the hand gestures, so you know. So we're both on the same page. But yeah, when you're that moment and then in a previous scene, you see the same thing. Yeah?
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah, I am.
If anybody's listening, they'll be like, what the fuck is he on about? But, it's a puzzle. Figure it out. Win something. Maybe. Don't know. Possibly not. Maybe a pint. I don't know. Probably not.
Push the ball out there.
But yeah, so Hereditary. Amazing, amazing film. I think that's up there as being
It's a good first two acts. Third act, I'm just like, nah, you've lost me.
The previous one to that, It Follows. I really liked.
The previous one to that, It Follows?
No, sorry. Previous film that I really enjoyed horror-wise, It Follows.
Yes.
Have you not seen It Follows?
Oh, right. Oh, the film's called It Follows.
The film's called It Follows, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it's not a great... It's like that stupid fucking Netflix show, You.
Oh, no.
Do you fancy watching You? What?
Watching me what?
Watching me do what?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't like that show either.
And then the film Us. I'm watching Us.
Us is good though.
It's an amazing film. It is an amazing film.
That's better because I wouldn't really consider that horror. That's more. It's more thriller. It's more unsettling. It's.
That's it. It's scary in that. I have an experience of one film that I don't know if you maybe seen. It came out in the sort of mid-noughties, about 2004, 2006 time, and it's a shit film. I'm not gonna sing its praises and say oh, it's such a good film. It's not. It's really shit. But it's got there's this one bit that's just done perfectly throughout the film. The film's Strangers.
Don't know. Give me some plot point.
Right. Plot point, it's your typical home invasion sort of film plot. A married couple that are having issues, of course, typical. They are in a rented apartment or something, I don't know what the fuck it is. And then there's a knock at the door. and like they go and answer it, and it's some creepy dude or creepy woman. Can't remember. Been a while since I watched it. It's like I say, it's a shit film.
Yeah.
But it has got something that it does really well. So there's this one character that's like, do you live here? No, blah, blah, blah. Move on a little bit. And then you start seeing shit, like, out the corner of the eye, like, of the sort of, like, camera kind of thing. So there's, like, a bit where she's, like, folding towels or, like, doing something, and you can just see this, like, masked man sort of in the shadows watching her. Not saying anything. And then what follows is a pretty brutal night of like stabbing, shooting, blah blah blah. Your average night in Middle America, really. Just your standard thing. And at no point do these killers talk, and there's 3 of them, and they all wear these masks. And then right at the end of the film, the main couple are tied up, and the 3 killers are in front of them, and the female protagonist is like, why did you pick us? Why did you choose us? And one of the killers just says, because you were in. Yeah, that's really fucking terrifying. Like, I'm there going, I'm not answering the fucking door now. The film was shit. Like, the film was like... Because I would have just been like, well, if anybody tries to kill me like that, they'll just find me on the sofa. And if they come to try and get me, I'm just going to twat them with the first thing I see. Maybe a pillow. Yeah. It may be a PlayStation controller.
It won't go on for 90 minutes.
It won't go on for 90 minutes. I'm probably going to be dead pretty quickly, to be fair. Let's be honest. I'm ill-prepared at best of times. Like, some guy's going to, like, break in with a knife and try and kill me. I'd just be like, can you do it quick? Like, I've got things I'd rather be doing. Yeah.
It's fine.
So, you know what I mean? But it was that bit at the end where she was trying to, get a connection with the killer, and she's like, oh my god, why us? Like, why? Like, we didn't do anything to you. And it's like, because you were in. And that's terrifying. And that, to me, is what horror is about. Horror is about that message of that sparks that little bit of fear of, maybe I'll lock the door tonight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, am I safe?
So,
lock your door every night.
I do agree with you when you say that, most horror films nowadays are very predictable, very easy to go, yeah, that's going to happen. No, that's going to happen now. Oh no, that's going to happen. Like, most horror films are a bit like that, especially like Conjuring and those kinds of films. But ever so often, there is just one that will come out that just...
Yeah, like for me, it's usually whatever Jordan Peele's doing.
Yeah, like Get Out.
Get Out was brilliant.
Us,
really
brilliant. I weren't as keen on his TV show that he helped produce. Pardon me. Just gonna lay it out there. Better out than in. You know what I mean. No, the TV show.
Is it like
Lovecraft Country? I did watch.
And it got cancelled, so...
Yeah.
I try not to watch stuff that's been cancelled.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not surprised. It was just a bit too much in one. Like... It...
Was Cthulhu in it?
No, not quite, but it was based on that sort of thing. It was good, and it had potential, but I think for the first season, they kind of went balls to the wall and just threw everything in first season, kind of thinking we're probably going to get cancelled.
Yeah.
And it did kind of feel a little bit like that, like within the first 3 episodes, a character's died and been resurrected. Like, it's that, well, where do you go from here?
Mm.
Like, where's the build up? Where's the getting into it kind of thing? So I'm not massively shocked that if it's been cancelled, because I think that they kind of maybe suspected it. I think it did have some really good potential.
Yeah.
It was definitely weird, and it was definitely H.P. Lovecraft inspired. And I think choosing H.P. Lovecraft was interesting as like a sort of I can't remember the guy who wrote the book Lovecraft Country, but obviously he was inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, and looking at the like sort of racism of H.P. Lovecraft's work the racism of America at the time in the 1940s, 50s, sort of when it was. Yeah, 1950s I think it was, because he fought in World War Two.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had potential, but I think they just went, fuck it, we're probably going to get cancelled.
Yeah. Mentioning TV shows, good TV show I watched recently was the Peacemaker series. So if you've seen
Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah, so if you've seen James Gunn's Suicide Squad, or
brilliant film.
Is it The Suicide Squad?
I think it's The Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But does that matter? I don't know.
Well, I think the first one's just called Suicide Squad.
Right, okay.
I think it's Josh.
Yeah, to be fair.
But anyway, yeah. I quite liked the second.
The second one's amazing. I thought it was really fun.
It's good fun, and it carries a lot of that same energy into the Peacemaker series. John Cena plays Peacemaker, who famously said that he loves peace so much that he doesn't care how many men, women and children he has to kill to get it. And it carries a lot of that vibe throughout the whole of the show, and it's just really good. And it surprisingly...
It's a more accurate Captain America.
It's, kind of. It's, like Captain America if he was like a dude bro. And, it's surprisingly they have like a good cast, like Tasty from
Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, from Orange is the New Black. She's sort of like the co-lead in it.
Oh, brilliant!
And she's really good. And so is the rest of the team that they have together. And you genuinely like start to care about this team. You're like, this is a dumb comedy thing. And John Cena's a surprisingly good comedy actor as well.
Yeah, I think
really shocked me when I saw him in.
There's quite a few wrestlers that have been in sort of like comedic roles that play it quite well, and I wonder if maybe that's because of their sort of like stage performance.
Well, that's it. The
staged
it's
performance,
and they have like the bits in between fights when they're on.
Obviously, I mean, like, I know it takes a lot, and I'm not gonna.
The other thing as well, like they do a lot. They'll do a lot of their own stunts when they're doing the films and stuff as well, and like. Honourable
mention to Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, and recently the Uncharted Nathan Drake.
Yeah, I've still not seen that yet.
No,
I found the series, and I'll be honest, I'm not a Mark Wahlberg fan.
No,
and
I think he may potentially be alright as Sully.
I don't know. He just wears his moustache.
Yeah,
moustache gate.
Moustache gate.
No, they did release a teaser trailer showing him with a moustache.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, but in all the other promotional stuff, he hasn't got a moustache. So.
Maybe it's one of those that he grows it at the very end.
Yeah,
of the
probably
film.
at the very end of the film.
And like, it's one of those moments.
I'll have one in the sequel.
Oh my god, the sequel is where the moustache power comes out. That is where he learns the power of the moustache. But yeah, like Tom Holland, he did his own stunts. He was he studied ballet, and
he was Billy Elliot
on stage. And so like he was doing quite a lot of like the sort of like flips and the sort of like gymnastics of Spider-Man himself, which I wouldn't.
Like, I've heard stories about like the latest film. Have you seen the latest Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I loved it and I hated it.
I loved it.
Where was the Sinister Six?
Yeah, how there's 5 of them.
Why?
Is the
But
full 5.
theory, J.K. Simmons, final Sinister Six villain.
Possibly, yeah.
Which I think is the case. But
J. Jonah Jameson.
I think the film could have done better at maybe hinting at that. But that was my main disappointment.
Yeah,
Where was the Sinister Six?
I thought there was going to be a 6th one, yeah.
I thought there was going to be like a big bad, like even the Vulture,
Yeah.
like escaping prison just to help out, or Scorpion, who they've already like teased at.
The guy who played Victor Zsasz in Far Cry 3.
Yeah. And he was in
you got to say
Better Call Saul.
One of the best things about Marvel, since they've going back to Iron Man 1, the casting for pretty much every single role has been spot on.
Yeah.
And you look at the characters who's playing them, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they all make sense. They're all.
I do agree with you on that. Like, there's nobody so far that I've seen that I've been like there's people that I've been like, I could imagine.
You could, possibly imagine someone else doing it. There's a few key ones where you're like, no, he was born to be Tony Stark. He's Thor. Chris Hemsworth.
Robert Downey Jr. You can't replace anytime soon.
Exactly. Although I do like one of the fan theories that we're going to have an Iron Man variant, so an Iron Man from a different universe in the new Doctor Strange film.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, potentially played by Tom Cruise, which, because he was originally supposed to.
He was one of the.
But I like that idea because they call him Superior Iron Man, and he's evil.
So if they go with the comics, there is a huge storyline with sort of after Iron Man is sort of killed off in one universe, where his daughter takes over, Morgan Stark, and she becomes. I don't think it's Iron Man. I think it's
Iron Heart.
Might be Iron Heart.
I'm sure it's something like that.
The Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher. We'll call her Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, so
Margaret Thatcher has taken on the role of Iron Man. So it's
Margaret Thatcher versus Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I think going daughter route would be quite interesting.
Yeah. They've sort of set that up
because I think that's what they're gonna do, because they're gonna do Young Avengers. They're gonna do I imagine though Young Avengers is gonna come out as a TV show. I get that TV show vibes.
The Ms. Marvel film, or is that a show that's coming out? I think that's a film.
I liked Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah, I think they're doing a second Captain Marvel. There's loads. In fact, as we record now, tomorrow is the first episode of Moon Knight on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah. Have you got Disney Plus?
Yes. I'll be watching that tomorrow before.
You can feed back.
I shall, yeah.
Feedback in the next episode.
Yeah. In fact, we could touch on that quickly. Have you seen any of the others?
What, of the different TV shows that they've got?
Yeah, the Marvel series.
I haven't,
that they've done.
Because they're all, well, obviously I've seen the Daredevil one.
Oh, the Netflix ones.
Which, just looping way back, I want to touch on something. In terms of the Insomniac Marvel video game universe, we've obviously got Wolverine in the works. We've got a new Spider-Man in the works, which has included Venom. I have my theories as to what's going to happen with the Venom inclusion character, but I don't think they're going to come to fruition, but we can touch on that another episode. But another character you would like to see the Marvel Insomniac universe create? Punisher?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to go around shooting criminals and...
Do you not think that would be a bit...
torturing them and
limited though? I feel like that'd be more Naughty Dog though.
Yeah, but I don't think Naughty Dog are going to do a Marvel
thing. Maybe they can start doing the DC ones. and then
That'd
you can
be
have
cool.
that would be cool.
That'd
Although
be
we
cool.
have got a new Wonder Woman game coming out
Oh yeah,
from the makers of Lord of the Rings games.
Yeah, and it's going to have the Nemesis system.
Yes, which is pretty cool.
It's exciting because we've not had a game with the Nemesis system since the last Shadow of War.
Shadow of War, yeah. I still can't really get my head into those games. But my mention for Marvel Insomniac games would be Daredevil.
That's a really good shout. Yeah, I rewatched the Daredevil Netflix series at some point.
It's so good. It's not great,
no,
but it's good.
It's quite bloated. There's a lot of filler.
Yeah, there's a lot of filler and there's a lot of villains that are just a bit like.
And it was back when like TV series had this sort of tendency to think like, oh, more is better.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the Disney shows, a lot of them are only 6 episodes a series.
Yeah.
And it tells a more coherent story that way, and there's like I said, it's not as bloated. There's no filler in there. It's all, every scene is like there's no fat on there at all.
Yeah, it's coherent story.
Yeah, it's really well done. Yeah.
Yep.
That had another point, didn't I?
Marvel, other TV.
Oh yeah. So yeah, they're all quite short series as well.
So even like Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Yeah, so it's been a mixed bag really, in my opinion. So they started off with the WandaVision series, which is about the Scarlet Witch and Vision. Yeah.
And follows those comics.
Yeah, and it's like an homage to like different eras of sitcoms.
Yeah, I've seen that because in the comics there's one volume and it's got that typical 1950s style artwork of like the picket fence house and like sort of 50s pin-up style dress for Wanda.
Yeah, so it does all that, and it comes through to like the 90s, and it'd be or like it might even be the noughties. It's like Malcolm in the Middle style.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's like moved away from like the live audience thing, but it's like slightly more modern and like children and stuff, and it's just like it was a mixed bag because it sort of ended a bit like a big like firework display of CGI, typical Marvel ending in lots of ways, which kind of let it down, but I enjoyed that enough. The best one for me anyway was the Loki series.
I've heard really good things about the Loki series.
I really like the Loki character anyway. It has a little spin on how it sort of like plays the role of Loki and which Loki we're
talking about.
And it sort of introduces like multiversal elements, which is what we're getting into with the next phase of Marvel. So it's quite significant in that way, which is nice as well. And just on like a side note, just check it out online. The colour palette is amazing. Like there's lots of like neon like greens and purples, and it's like dark.
The sort of cinematography is on.
It's really nice. Falcon Winter Soldier I didn't care for. There was probably only like 2 episodes where you see him as the Falcon with wings on. It's like, come on, I'm here to see a guy with wings and stuff. It's called the Falcon.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
it's all about like they spent too much time because they were 2 of the ones that got blinked. When Thanos snapped his fingers, they went away as dust and then came back, and they're like, oh, the world's moved on 5 years. Like, what do we do? Blah 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 blah.
Trying to figure out what their life goals are.
I don't care about that. Like, go kick some ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the cinema.
Sounds alright. Just finishing off they did the Hawkeye series around Christmas
Heard
time.
that's pretty good.
That was surprisingly good. Yeah, that's like a solid 8 out of 10.
That's really good.
I really enjoyed that. Kind of good buddy comedy. And Hayley Seinfeld, the new Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, in particular, standout performance. She was brilliant.
Brilliant.
Really, really good.
I overall, and I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is getting a bit bloated.
Well,
It's getting a bit pudgy, and I'm getting a bit like because I love comic books. I love superheroes and stuff. I think superheroes are great. You know, I'm really excited for a lot of upcoming Marvel projects like Wolverine, as previously mentioned. I'm also super excited for the potential sort of like crossovers in the future, the new Deadpool movies. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do think it is getting a bit bloated, and there's now getting to the point now, like in the comics, I don't follow all the comics.
Yeah. Well, you can't. It's almost impossible to.
So I'm not gonna follow all the movies. I'm not gonna follow.
And I think that's all right as well. I don't necessarily think you have to in order to get the the experience that you want out of it, which is like there's nothing been like the MCU. It's sort of new.
It's gotten.
They're kind of writing the rules as they go along, aren't they?
It's kind of, I would say, anime inspired. In that Japan have been doing shit like this for quite a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like expanded universes, bringing different franchises into, or a different spin-off series, or expanding characters way beyond their normal sort of like shelf life.
Yeah.
And I think
making it work still as well.
Making it work, and a lot of Marvel films, I think, rely heavily on the fact that they're like 90 minutes of firework montages. It's a spectacle for the eyes. It's not much.
I watched Shang-Chi at the cinema. That was the first film I went to see, sort of post-lockdown. It's been probably 18 months since I've been to the cinema, and I went to watch it, and it's one of those again, enjoyed the first 2/3, quite good storytelling, characters, nice action sequences, and it's kind of kung fu-y, so a lot of practical effects and stuff. But then, the final third, they're in a literal spirit land where it's just blue screen everywhere, and you're just and then there's a bit where he's riding a fucking dragon, and you're like, come on.
Yeah.
I suppose they've got to do it.
It's
But
I think
still better than the DC films, unfortunately.
Although I would say
the
the
DC
films, they've got some hidden gems there.
They go a different direction, which I like actually. How they have sort of standalone films like the Joker.
The Joker,
it's just Joker, isn't it?
No, it's the Joker.
Is it the Joker?
Yeah, it's the Joker.
There's the Batman, which I've seen. I don't think you've
we're
seen it.
We're hopefully going to go and see it one day this week. So
sick. Well, it's that's really good. Highly recommend that.
And the Suicide Squad. As well.
That's a good one.
Another fantastic movie, which is loads of fun.
Yeah.
I think this is probably a good time to sign off because it's been 2 hours of recording.
Okay.
So cool. We will try this again sometime.
Speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Sleep tight.